This week, the House voted to impeach President Trump a second time, making him the only president in American history to have been impeached twice. My next guest represented the president during the first impeachment, and he might do it again. But it's not because he's a Trump supporter or even a Republican, because he's neither one. It's because he believes in the Constitution, and he believes a legal system that treats everyone equally, even a president. Please welcome Harvard Law Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz. Professor, did anything the president say in his speech on January 6th incite a riot?
Certainly not, and certainly it doesn't constitute an impeachable offense. It was completely protected by the Constitution. It was pablum compared to what Brandenburg, the man who was convicted in Brandenburg versus Ohio, and a unanimous Supreme Court reversed his conviction. It was pablum compared to what civil rights leaders and suffragettes and labor leaders and radicals and people of all stripes do when they go to Washington. They say, go to the Senate, confront them, get in their face, show them how strong we are, don't back down. Those are fighting words, and fighting words are part of political rhetoric protected by the Constitution. So the other thing the Congress did on the day it broke its record by impeaching somebody twice, it also broke its own record by violating the Constitution on 6 different occasions, 6 different clauses of the Constitution in one day. It violated the First Amendment. It violated the impeachment criteria under the Constitution. It violated the Bill of Attainder clause by saying he could be put on trial as a private citizen after he leaves. It violated due process by not giving him an opportunity and his lawyers an opportunity, on and on and on, to have broken that record of so many constitutional violations in one day. For what? In order to end the presidency a few days earlier and leave us with a legacy of a broken Constitution? It's just not the right thing to do.
I've heard you mention that this is going to lead to every party out of power using impeachment as a process just to gig the other side. And true to form, sure. A Republican legislator introduced articles of impeachment on Kamala Harris just this week. So I guess we're already seeing what you prophesied. Didn't know you were a prophet, but there you are, right. A professor and a prophet.
Oh, you know, the Talmud says that prophecy ended with the destruction of the Second Temple, and he who tries to prophesy is either a fool or a knave, and I hope I'm neither. But look, it's going to become, look, if you were to announce that you want to run for president in 2024, you'd be a very strong candidate. The Democrat-controlled House and Senate could impeach you, a private citizen, in order to stop you from running. It has turned impeachment into a weaponized, political, normal thing to be used politically instead of an extraordinary measure to remove a president who's committed treason, bribery, other high crimes and misdemeanors. It's so in violation of the framers' intent. It's what Hamilton called the most dangerous thing, to allow impeachment to go forward simply because you have the votes to do it. And that's exactly what the Democrats did.
Let me assure you that I will not be running in 2024 or any other year. I'm done running. I've been there, done that. So we're going to let somebody else experience that joy. Troubling to me.
Well, you're only saying this because you don't want to get impeached. That's all. You're only, you know, that your Sherman statement is not credible. It's only because you don't want to be impeached. You'd be a great president.
I'll say what Abraham Lincoln said about being run out of town on a rail. If it weren't for the honor of it, I'd just soon pass. What is troubling most to me, Professor, is that there was no due process. It's one thing to say we're going to charge someone, we're going to present the evidence against them, but then we're going to give them a defense. In this case, the House rushed to a process which they did not give him a defense, nor did they produce any evidence. As a constitutional law perspective, from your vantage point, why should every American, even the people who hate Donald Trump, be concerned about that precedent?
Because what they did to Donald Trump today, they can do to a Democrat tomorrow, and they can do to you the day after tomorrow. If Congress claims the authority to put private citizens on trial, we go back to the pre-revolutionary British system where Parliament tried people, and that was called a Bill of Attainder. And the framers of the Constitution explicitly prohibited Congress from passing bills of attainder, which means Congress has no jurisdiction to try people who are not currently in office. And even if they start the trial while he's still in office, the minute he leaves, 12 o'clock noon, January 20th, the Senate loses all jurisdiction over him as a private citizen. And if they claim jurisdiction over him, they're going to claim jurisdiction over you. It's McCarthyism all over again, but McCarthyism of the left rather than the right, the McCarthyism that I grew up with and fought against in the 1950s.
You were a part of the legal team that defended him in the first impeachment. Do you expect that if this thing does actually end up in the Senate and go to trial, as they impeach a private citizen, will you be on that legal team again?
I think it would be a mistake to have the president present a substantive defense in front of the Senate. I think his best approach would be to deny the power of the Senate to try him and to take the case to court rather than to have him subjected to a partisan or even a bipartisan vote in the United States Senate. So I don't see any room for a lawyer. Lawyer had no role to play during the impeachment. Nobody called on any lawyer to defend the president. And I don't think a lawyer has a real role to play. This is political theater, and I'm neither a politician nor an actor. So I don't really want to participate in a show trial. I think the challenge should be made in the courts against the power of the Senate to put on trial an ordinary citizen.
Some have suggested that the reason that Nancy Pelosi has pushed for this and the Democrats have gone along is that they want to somehow disqualify President Trump from running again in 2024. Right. Is that a legitimate argument? Would they, in fact, disqualify him? How do you disqualify somebody from running if he hasn't been convicted of criminal activity?
No, and you can't do that. The text of the Constitution is clear. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification. In other words, if you remove him from office, then you can disqualify him, but you can't just disqualify him. The word "and" is in the conjunctive, not the disjunctive. It doesn't say that you can remove him from office or disqualify him. It comes together. And if he's not in office, you can't disqualify him. The Senate has no role in picking candidates for future office. That's not their function. Their function is to remove a president who has explicitly violated the 4 criteria in the Constitution: treason, bribery, other high crimes, and misdemeanors. And President Trump doesn't fit into any of those qualifications. So impeachment is improper, and certainly simply putting him on trial to disqualify him is a classic bill of attainder, according to the Supreme Court of the United States.
Professor, you always impress me. I only would have said, just for you, I might have gone to law school. Thank you so much for being with us. It is
I wish you had.
A delight to have you here. And you can follow Professor Dershowitz on Twitter, for now at least, at Alan Dersh, and take a listen to the Dersh Show podcast. That way you can get Alan's thoughts on current events.